Hey, what's going on everybody? This is Beanie and welcome back to another all-time series video. Today we're going to be starting the American League and starting off with the Houston Astros, who just have an absolutely loaded all-time team. It was really we may be starting out with the best team in the American League. I don't know. I think the Indians might have a good shot. I think the Yankees and the Red Sox will probably have some pretty loaded teams, but we'll see. Maybe there will be a surprise team that I haven't really thought about. But yeah, the Astros are really, really good. And guys, I may be going through this a little quicker because I did have a failed recording session earlier because apparently my headset mic is broken, so I'm having to use my Yeti mic. And yeah, oh my God. Sorry about that, guys. Every time I sit down and try to record, something fucking happens. I'm just going to leave that in because... So my phone was ringing and it fucked me up again. But anyways, guys, let's get into this and get this over with so I can get this fucking video out because it's this has been a horrible day for recording. Okay, guys, starting out with the starters, the starting pitching is pretty damn good for the Astros. It's definitely their strongest point, which is surprising. I thought their lineup would probably be their strongest point, but their rotation is headed off by the three-headed monster of Mike Scott, Nolan Ryan, and Roy Oswalt, which is probably not as good as the overalls would indicate, but it's still really effective. I mean, when you have a guy with 94 hit and 92 K per nine, I mean, that's strong. Even though his stuff really may not be the best, that's pretty strong for your number one guy. And then obviously Nolan Ryan is a stud. Roy Oswalt is a stud. And then moving to the back end of the rotation, this is the only team out of any of the ones that I've graded so far who actually has 5 diamonds in their rotation. Everyone else has had to fill it out with a gold or a silver at some point. And, you know, your number 4 guy is going to be the 93 overall Lance McCullers, who is also an extremely effective pitcher, a 165 combined hit and K per nine. Good curveball. I wish he had a slider, but he doesn't, and that kind of sucks. But, you know, you do what you can, and this 93 overall for a number 4 starter is awfully, awfully good. And then for your number 5 guy, it basically came down to this 90 overall Justin Verlander and the 93 overall Dallas Keuchel. I ended up going with the 90 overall Justin Verlander just because this Keuchel kind of sucks. He doesn't throw that hard. Everything is kind of flat. It would have been nice to get a lefty in this rotation, but he's just not good enough for me to justify it. And this Verlander has better per nines. He throws harder. Overall like this card a lot better than that Keuchel, so I ended up going with the 90 overall Justin Verlander, and this is a strong rotation. Having 5 diamonds in the rotation, I mean, that is awfully, awfully strong. So I did end up giving them the best grade of any rotation that I've done so far, with a score of a 9.5. Actually, I take back what I said about the starting rotation. I actually think the Giants did also have an all-diamond rotation, but one of those guys has now been downgraded to a gold, so I don't know really how I would count that, but there was another team that did have an all-diamond rotation, so yeah, there you go. But anyways, moving on to the bullpen, this is probably the weak point of their team, even though it's not really a weak point, it's just not as strong as their lineup in their rotation, but it's still pretty good. You start out with a 95 overall Billy Wagner. I love my number 1 guy being a lefty because in stuff like this, lefties can be pretty difficult to find sometimes, so having just a great one at the back end of your rotation is always going to be a huge benefit. And then you don't have any more diamonds, so you have to move on to the golds, and with the golds you have 2 fairly decent ones. You have this 87 overall Ken Giles and the 86 overall Chris Davinsky. This Davinsky is pretty interesting because even though I look at him and I'm not impressed really by much at all, every time I face him, I have a lot of trouble hitting him. And I don't really know why, but I think he kind of has more of a deceptive delivery, so that does add to his effectiveness. So he's a guy that I would like to have in the back end of my bullpen. But then after that, you have to move on to some silvers. Will Harris, who I kind of think is a little bit overrated, but still, you know, he's an okay number 4. Then Luke Gregerson is a great number 5. I really like Luke Gregerson, even though he doesn't throw that hard. He has a very good sinker and a very, very, very good changeup and slider that are really, really slow and really difficult to pick up if you keep throwing that 90-mile-an-hour 4-seam sinker, 2-seam combo. So yeah, I really like Gregerson. And then moving on down, you have this Michael Feliz and this Brad Peacock. And, the obvious thing would be to put both of them in there, but I wanted to get one more lefty into the bullpen, so I couldn't put both of them. I had to pick one, and I ended up going with Brad Peacock because he has that 74 stamina that really would allow him to play as a long reliever. Plus, he has solid per-nines to go with it, good pitch selection, and his stuff isn't terrible. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you need 3 or 4 innings out of a guy, Brad Peacock is the guy for you. So yeah, I like having him in there. And then I wanted to get another lefty, and it came down to Francisco Liriano and Tony Sipp. Liriano was basically the velocity play, and Tony Sipp was the per-nines play. And I ended up going with Tony Sipp just because I didn't think the velocity difference was that big. And I thought it'd be nice to get some better per-nines in there for my lefty. And, he's probably going to be more of a lefty specialist, but I can work with that. Having that second lefty in there is going to be awfully important. So I liked getting that 75 overall Tony Sipp. I think he's kind of a bronze budget beast. So yeah, he's from Moss Point, Mississippi, which isn't that far away from where I live. So yeah, there's that too. But anyways, the bullpen definitely is a drawback. Not really a drawback, and not really a weakness. It's just not the strongest part of this team. It's the weak point of the team. Not really a weakness, but it's just the weakest point. And I ended up giving them a score of a 7.0. Okay, now onto the lineup. The lineup isn't quite as good as the rotation, but man, I'll tell you what, the middle of the order in this lineup is going to be hella scary to face. But you start out with this 86 overall Jason Castro, a solid righty hitting catcher who probably needs a platoon. You've run into a lot of those in these kind of exercises, so that's not too surprising, and he's not a bad card to have by any stretch. And then moving on from the Jason Castro, obviously, got to go at first base. Got to go with the 99 overall Jeff Bagwell, best first baseman in the game, bar none. I love his swing. I love his attributes. I love the fact that he's pretty fast for a first baseman. He has good defense. Everything you want in a first baseman, even though it's not a premium position or whatever, this guy is by far the best at that position. So he's super nice to have on the team. And then you get another 99 overall at second base with Jose Altuve, a guy I'm not as high on as a lot of other people, but I can see why people like him. He does have a little bit of power. He probably should have more based on how he is in real life. But he doesn't, so you have to work with that 59-64, but he does have a huge PCI with great contact, great vision. He's a decent defender, doesn't have the strongest arm, but he's going to get to a lot of balls, and especially with that 87 speed, and he can steal some bases too. So yeah, a really nice guy to have over at second base. Not the best second baseman in the game, but a pretty damn good one. And then at third base, you probably get your weakest part of the lineup with the 89 overall Alex Bregman. I don't know, it's arguable between catcher, left field, and third base, but this Bregman isn't, fantastic, but he's competent. He can get the job done. And then you move on to shortstop. At shortstop, got to go with the 94 Correa. This guy versus righties is a mammoth. I mean, he is just, I love this card so much. I really didn't love it as much as I should when it first come out. And I've kind of slowly turned around on it. Basically because he has the best swing in the game. Just an absolute amazing swing that generates a ton of power. And he has great attributes to back it up. 95, 92, 90, 77 with 71 vision. Decent fielder. Isn't fast, but really isn't all that slow either. Can play 3 different positions. This card is an absolute stud. He should be a higher overall than the 94 too. I don't know. I guess it's like the defense and the speed that keeps his overall down. But still, I mean, this guy's a stud. And then in left field, this is another kind of weak point of the lineup, but it's not really all that bad. I mean, the 89 overall Colby Rasmus, he has a lot of pop, but you do have to be a guy that can work with a smaller PCI. But a lot of people seem to like that for whatever reason. I don't. But if you can do it, this guy is going to have a lot of pop, and this is probably one of those underrated cards that you would love to own. So yeah, in left field, you got Colby Rasmus, and then you got one of the best outfielders in the game with Carlos Beltran, 99 overall, switch hitter, tons of pop, 5-tool stud. Just, I mean, there aren't enough superlatives to say about this card. I mean, having him, Bagwell, Correa, and Altuve, I mean, that is just a nasty middle of the order. One of the best that I've graded so far. And if they didn't have those three kind of weak points on the team, then they would by far be the best lineup that I covered. It's just that there are a few spots that you could kind of exploit in this lineup. But then in right field, you do have the George Springer, and he's also great. And you could even throw him in there with those other 3 or 4 players to you know, kind of create that core of the lineup. And so yeah, he's very, very good. But yeah, let's move on to the bench so we can finish this video. On the bench, I really wanted to get this 86 overall Michael Bourne on there, and I was able to. I mean, he's just a game changer if he can get on the base paths. And, you know, he has decent contact, and he tends to get a lot of kind of BS hits, just kind of blooping it over the shortstop or second baseman or whatever. And if he gets on base, it's like an automatic double, and a lot of times it's an automatic triple, and he's a game changer. He can win games for you if you can get him on base. And, you know, late in the game, you need a pinch runner, this is your guy. So I really wanted to get him on there. And then one of my favorite silvers in the game, I was able to get on here with the 82 overall Marwin Gonzalez. A versatile switch hitter that can hit both sides fairly effectively and can play a variety of positions. I wish that they would add left field and right field for him because he does play that in real life too. But it's okay. He's going to be your infield utility guy. And yeah, I really like this Marwin Gonzalez, and I would love to have him on my bench. Then you got to go with another lefty power bat. We don't really have a ton of those on this team. So getting Josh Reddick, who's also a pretty decent defender too, with a pretty strong arm, is awfully nice to have. Then we needed a backup for Jason Castro, and a lot of people would automatically go to McCann, but this is your boy Beanie. Beanie thinks beyond that, you know what I mean? So I had to go with the 81 overall Evan Gattis. Like, it really wasn't that difficult of a decision. I mean, you just needed a guy who can hit righties better, and Evan Gattis, you know, he kind of fits that bill a lot better than the Brian McCann. So yeah, he's going to be our backup catcher, even though defensively he's not great. You know, at this point, I'm not super sold that catcher defense is like incredibly important. So I just want the bat, and he has a better bat, so I'm gonna go with him. And then to round it out, you got, I guess, like the 82 overall Cameron Maybin. Not a super exciting pick, but you know, what are you going to do? You aren't going to be able to fill out everywhere with studs, but I don't know, maybe he could have some utility, like coming in versus a lefty as like a pinch hitter or something. And he has some speed, and he's not terrible defensively, so I don't know. I guess you could find a variety of spots to use him in, so he's not that bad. But yeah, taking the lineup and the bench into account, I ended up giving the Astros lineup a score of an 8.8, which puts them among the best lineups in the game. And when you add the starting pitching, the bullpen, and the lineup together, you come out with a score of a 25.3, which is a very, very, very strong score for the American League. And just a reminder, guys, whenever I finish this, hopefully before like the end of November, I'm going to be taking the best team from the American League and the best team from the National League. I'm going to recreate those rosters, and I'm going to play them together in an all-time World Series to find out who the best team of all time is. I know that there are a lot of holes in that idea, but we're going to do it, okay? Because it sounds like it would be fucking fun to do. So yeah, just be on the lookout for that whenever I finish this. But guys, that is going to do it. This was a very, very difficult video to record just because I had a lot of distractions going on in the background. So if I was a little bit out of it, I apologize for that. I'll try to do better next time tomorrow whenever we go over the all-time Rangers. I'm also going to try to get a player review out tomorrow. I may end up streaming today, though. Like, I'm questioning whether I will or not now. I may, though. I may stream. The problem is that my headset microphone, I just found out today, has broke. somehow it sounds like crap. It's very, very choppy, and I don't know what the problem is. If I can get that fixed, I may stream. Even if I can't get it fixed, I may stream. I've just got to figure out a way to like set up my microphone in a more opportune place for me to be able to do that. But yeah, guys, that is going to do it for this video. The Astros come out with a score of a 25.3. Very, very good. We'll see if they can get beat. But until then, I'll see you guys later. Peace.